We're all familiar with inflation when the cost of goods and services increases. I mean, we're feeling it right now, aren't we? Not a whole lot we can do about inflation, but for today's episode, I want you to consider the idea of measuring your own personal inflation rate. Welcome to today's ASAP Finance. Understanding the erosive effect that inflation has on our purchasing power is absolutely an important factor when planning for retirement. Unfortunately, though, inflation itself is something we need to plan for because it's out of our control. Personal inflation, however, is absolutely something we have influence in managing and important to monitor for those aspiring to build wealth. Let me share with you how to calculate your own personal inflation rate. If you've used our budget worksheet and have it filled out, this is where we're going to start. If you don't have our budget sheet, we're happy to send it to you, or you can simply get your bank statement and itemize your spending. One thing in this process to think about is making sure your budgeting includes big ticket items that you pay once or twice a year, such as auto and home insurance, which our budget sheet does. The clearest true measure would be to have an annual budget and divide by 12 to know how far under or over you are when compared to your monthly annualized budget. And we can help if you'd like some feedback. But if you don't have this, let's do a monthly comparison now and compare it to the same month a year ago. So subtract your total monthly spending from a year ago from your current monthly spending. Then divide that sum by your monthly spending from a year ago. For example, if your spending last month was $3,500, and a year ago, it was $3,250. The difference is $250. Divide $250 by $3,250, and you land at a personal inflation rate of 7.7%. To more accurately measure your inflation rate, consider the following. First, understanding the national inflation rate will be determined by factors outside of our control. It wouldn't be unusual for your personal inflation rate to rise commensurate with the national inflation rate. If the cost of milk and eggs are up from a year ago, we still need those items, so our costs will rise. The latest inflation numbers have the CPI, or Consumer Price Index, at 2.5%. So if your personal rate of inflation is 7.7, then subtracting 2.5% would leave you with a more personalized increase of 5.2%. Secondly, maybe you had a big expense that could not be avoided, and that's driving your number up. Expense outliers can certainly skew a number, but maintenance of our stuff is something itself to be budgeted for. More positively, maybe you got a 10% raise. If your income has risen by 10% year over year, and your costs have only risen by 7.7%, a good accountability check would be to confirm that your savings rate has grown by the difference, 2.3% or 23% of your raise. Hopefully this means your saving for the future is growing. If your savings isn't growing in this situation, it's worth rerunning your numbers on what you are spending. It's worth pointing out that personalized inflation may differ by age and geography because we all know it costs more to live in LA than it does in Greenville, South Carolina. And it doesn't take a wealth planner to tell you the years of having kids in the house are expensive. The bigger point here is that it would be good to be aware of your personal inflation rate, but don't let this be discouraging. If you find that these calculations are an eye-opener, here's a few questions to consider. Are there some dollars we can cut from our spending? Sometimes our wants and our needs can get blurred. We all have to eat, yes, and groceries are one thing, but dining out and ordering in is another. Reining in your discretionary food costs might help trim some spending. Am I proactive with preventative maintenance? An ounce of prevention can help you avoid more expensive problems down the road. Keep up with maintenance on bigger ticket items such as your HVAC unit and your car. This also applies to medical and or dental checkups for yourself. Put into practice making spending comparisons to keep yourself in check. Understanding where your money is spent is an important step in managing your sensitivity to inflation. Please contact us with any questions or to get a copy of our budget worksheet. We are here to help. See you next month.